Greetings, everyone. This is the JC of the Aboriginal Tribal Courts here. It is October the 26th, I believe it is. Yes, it is. And it's actually the 25th. I am fast forwarding after the events of last week, right, Grandma? So as you can see, it's been a long morning. One of the duties that I have as the JC and also a granddaughter and daughter of nationals is I am responsible sometimes for actually sitting, senior sitting, grandmom sitting. And so today is my grandmom sitting day, and I know grandmom is like, she probably doesn't want, people to see her this way, but I think it is important that the viewers, especially since we are looking to become more visible to the public after the events of October 6th at 9 o'clock in the morning at 1361-1361 South 46th Street, and what they are calling University City, because due to, once again, circumstances where the colonizing government has decided that they want to once again put indigenous people on the move who do not live on reservations. They are coming in and they are stealing our property. And the asset that was taken, although it was in trust and it was actually being utilized as our National Indigenous Law Center, which we just received an EIN number for just about 2 months ago. They decided that they were just going to come, with tactical uniform, as well as utilizing the tactical helicopters. All right, now my grandmother here is, she's taking a little rest. She was just moving. And as you can see, she is, grandma is 87 years old, and grandma has dementia, or what the doctors here of the United States government here in what they are calling the Americas have diagnosed her with having full-blown dementia. And so one of the things that is required for someone who has full-blown dementia, because they lack the ability to care for themselves in every way possible, is that they have 24-hour care. And so we are here in the green room. I don't know if you can see. This is one of the rooms that we actually have here at one of our properties, okay, that they have not taken. Although we feel as though that they are in the process of actually trying to take this property as well. Up to this point, they have dispossessed us of 2 properties, and there have been 3 evictions. Okay, one of the properties was not necessarily under the ownership of the individual, but it did become the ownership of one of the trusts, and each one of those properties came under the takings, okay, of the United States government through its subsidiary, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the Philadelphia of Pennsylvania. And this is just my specific experience. Okay, so there are other cases active cases, which we actually have with some other nationals or just indigenous people, because as I have shared with you in the past, I am not solely, or our courts, the Aboriginal courts, does not particularly solely just represent or advocate on behalf of those individuals who are registered with our nation. Okay, I feel as though, I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but I feel as though that my duty and my responsibility, especially with me having been educated all my life, and understanding that my duty as a human being is to make sure that other human beings are not taken advantage of, and that their rights and all of their their inherent rights and rights that have been afforded to them by different governments. Here we're going to let Grandma sleep. Go ahead, Grandma. You can lay back. Let her take her nap. She has eaten her breakfast, which I made her, and so now she's napping. So caring for the elderly. I apologize for the segue. But caring for the elderly is actually very similar to taking care of a baby when the elderly individual has some type of has come down with some type of a disease. Okay, we're going to call it a disease, and as because she is my grandmother, and as someone um, who has dealt with and experienced being attacked. My temple being attacked. Because I was poisoned in order to to get me out of the way. I had been poisoned, and of course, when the poisoning happened, and I mentioned it, when the article came out regarding the circumstances surrounding my particular situation in 2015, there was mockery that was made about it. However, when you are dealing with life-threatening situations, which I was and I did experience, there is nothing funny about the situation. And unfortunately, these wicked individuals who we are up against, who are just relentless with just maintaining the colonial status quo of keeping us oppressed and under their foot. Okay, that their continued acts of terrorism. Okay, they are always so quick to label someone else as a terrorist or treat others as if they are terrorists. But these individuals, from the time that they came to our land, have done nothing but utilize every tactic that they possibly could without any consideration regarding whether it was lawful or not. We're not going to say legal, because what is legal is whatever they make legal, okay? They sit and they write laws that allow for them to engage in criminal activity without any consequences. And those laws that they create also are laws that that are written against us. And all of these things, if you are familiar with the Constitution, whether it's at the federal level or at the so-called state level, these are all human rights violations, constitutional violations. The Constitution was established, created to protect the rights of the individual. Okay, and at every turn, every opportunity that they have had since they have arrived, and I stress that because during the eviction, there were individuals who were out there who just continuously said that they did not care about our rights. They did not care how long ago or how long we have been going through what we have going through, particularly the alleged new owners who are very much aware of the fraudulent mortgage proceeded to state, I don't care about 300 years of history. Okay, he was just like, I don't care. The sheriffs did not care. They constantly repeated. It was very just very repetitive in terms of them saying, we do not care. We are here to cause damage. And so the presence of the tactical unit was very evident. The neighbors all saw what transpired. We are a family. My grandmother has lived at 1361 South 46th Street for approximately 30 years, maybe even longer. Okay, and for them to not only do what they did to her in her senior senior state, but to do the things that they are doing to a number of people, whether they are seniors or not, who are indigenous in our neighborhood, it is, it's atrocious behavior. They have no value for life, and for them, the only thing that matters is, that money, or what they refer to in the entertainment industry as the bag or whatever. But this is not entertainment. These are real people's lives that are being affected by what these people are doing. These are not movies. These are, the circumstances and the situations are very real. And when people get shot, when people are hit, when people are affected by the events, there are long-standing effects. Okay, we have post-traumatic stress disorder, we have anxiety, and we have a whole host of other, medical, psychological issues that result, that affect the psyche. But then, in addition to that, if there is force that is involved, whether by shootings or physical assaults, physical batteries, then we have the physical injuries that also result from that. As many of you know, as a result of that situation, because I refused to stand down and to allow for these people to just trespass private property. We had all the signs that were posted. I had provided them with notice. These individuals did not care. Again, they consistently repeated that they were there to do damage. This is what they said to us. Okay, this is what was specifically said to my face. It was also said to the chief, who was present, who was supposed to be serving in the capacity of the Aboriginal Marshal. We as Indigenous peoples, we have been doing the best that we can with what we have, and so many times we wear, several hats. And unfortunately, because we are bootstraps for resources, many times we are trusting of individuals who say they want to help, they want to assist. And so with that being the situation, we open ourselves to actually being infiltrated by agents. And those of you, I'm sure, who are viewing this, you understand exactly what I'm talking about by organizations that have been established or created to protect and to advocate on behalf of our human rights. Okay, and when I say our, there's no difference between an indigenous person and a black person and a Hispanic person, Negro, colored, or even like Mexican and the Mexicans. Okay, these are all indigenous peoples, and throughout history, through the pen, through the law, okay, through the written laws by man, what man has done when he has gone and so-called discovered other lands is that he has written out of history, he has chosen to disappear people with a stroke of a pen, and that is what has happened. So it was not my intention to make this long or anything. I just wanted to just come on and because I'm realizing that our presence is necessary. A lot of us have been trying to deal with a lot of what has been happening privately, but no longer can these matters remain private, especially when the government is appearing, when they show up, knowing that they do not have jurisdiction and telling us that they don't care about who we are or our status, whether we have our own government or whatever, and just trying to dismiss us as being a sovereign citizen. We are not sovereign citizens. Okay, our nation existed prior to the colonizers coming to this land, and many of us who during this awakening or consciousness time in our lives, we have realized who we are and whose we are, and it is our choice if we want to return to our nation. We were a peoples before the colonizer arrived, and we still are a peoples, those of us who remain. And so it is a choice. We are not here to force anyone to to repatriate or to nationalize themselves. That is, it is a choice, and it is a human rights choice. It is a right that the United Nations and all of the signatories who were a part of not just the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples agreed upon when they signed the declaration, but those individuals who are United Nations members, each one of them are, have attended the, conferences, have, they have enacted human rights laws. All of these treaties and conventions that have been established, these are where the rights come from. This is not just my belief, as I was informed at this hearing I, was forced to attend as a result of a bench warrant and, a capturing or a kidnapping on October 9th, and it's just, the games have to stop. The disrespect, really, it has to stop. This rule by might it's disrespectful. In the public, you say, or you give the impression that Indigenous people's rights matter, but to you, Indigenous people's rights only matter when we are listening to you and we are subjecting ourselves to your laws and your rules. Okay? But I am here to remind you, especially those of you who have been legally trained, okay, that it is your duty. It is your duty to assist the Indigenous nations with their government, not to dismiss any of our claims or to tell us that you don't want to hear about, our official positions or anything like that, or how our positions in our nation doesn't matter because it's based upon some belief that we have. There is an entire, there is an entire organization that is established. It's called the United Nations, okay? And within that organization, like I said, there are numerous international laws that have been established, okay? So, the tyranny that is happening here in the Americas, I'm going to say the Americas because it's not just here in North America, it is all of the Americas, because America, before it was divided amongst the colonizers, it was one. It was one. Okay, it may have fallen under different nations like the Tsalagi Nation, okay, which was the largest nation at the time. So I'm going to end here. And Grandma is still napping, and I'm going to get Grandma up soon because Grandma has to have some fluids. But here I am. And yes, even like still in my role, because I have spent the morning taking care of my grandmother. And now, before I actually sit down and begin to work, I am going to get myself ready and make myself look more presentable. Yes. So I just wanted to get on here and just give you a look into what it is that we do here. What it is that I do, because it's really about the courts, the Sweet Jury Court, and I'm here going to show you the symbol. This is our seal. You see that? This is our seal. That's the seal. This is the Great Seal of the Sweet Jury Tribal Court. All right. So whenever you see that, whenever any of these officials receive documents with this seal on it, they know that this seal is coming from the nation. Okay? It's coming from an indigenous nation, not some made up or make believe organization, or even any of those pseudo tribes that they have out there, pseudo nations. This is a real nation that is here to make sure that people who want to nationalize themselves, or who want to acknowledge who they are, who and whose they are, that we are here to assist them with that. The United States has a different agenda. And when I say the United States, I'm talking about the United States at the federal level, as well as all of its subsidiary states or commonwealths. The commonwealths being the original 13 colonies that came here, that were established here, and that were primarily involved in, enslaving the indigenous peoples. Okay, however you identify yourself, you are indigenous. Okay, you must understand who and whose you are, and you must understand that everything about us is based on them capitalizing off of us, identifying us as assets, and tapping into the accounts that they have created and attached to us, so that every time we do anything, including work, we are funding this colonial prejudicial system. Okay, so don't let anybody ever try to make you feel like you don't matter, or that you are taking away from something, because if it wasn't for us, the United States would not exist at all. It would not even be a superpower. Okay, they like to look at individuals who came here and they talk about their founding fathers and how hard they worked to build this country. Let me tell you something. They did. They worked very hard to make sure that they turned every Aboriginal indigenous individual into a bond. Okay, into a bond. They have us in bondage. It may not be like how they had us before, but we are still in bondage. And this is why they are having such difficulty with those of us who have awakened and who have reclaimed our nationality. So the acts that they are engaging in, they are acts to denationalize us. They are acts that will, help for them to maintain their status quo in the world as a superpower. But see, whether I succeed or not, this is not going to succeed. It's not. And the reason it's not going to succeed is because their time is up. Every kingdom has its time. And every kingdom that has existed has failed, has collapsed at some point in time. All right. So I am here, still supporting my grandmother. All right. Supporting my family. And yes, I'm a woman. Okay. I'm a woman who is standing up for the rights, just like a lot of other people, a lot of our ancestors have in the past. There's no difference. There's no difference. There's nothing special about me except for the fact that I love my family. And I'm not saying like except like others who came before me didn't. I'm just saying, like, as far as my position, I am not, here to do like what so many other people are doing, trying to capitalize off of the ignorance of our people. And when I say ignorance, I do say that with all due respect, because ignorance is just the lack of knowledge. And unfortunately, a lot of our people, they just don't know. And so yes, they are ignorant as to the laws, they are ignorant as to history, they are ignorant as to who and whose they are. They do not know. But it is not my intention at all to capitalize off of that. Mm-mm. But it is the intention of others. It is the intention of some of these pseudo indigenous nations out here, okay, who are actually operating on behalf of the colonizers. All right, so I'm going to get back to Grandmom now. All right. I know. All right, like I said, she has to have her fluids. And you will be, seeing more of me. I am definitely going to be more vocal about this. And this is not over. It's not over. Whether I have an army behind me or not, and when I say army, I'm talking about the numbers behind me, like people or not, I am going to continue to do and to be who I am. because I am the one who is responsible for my soul. I am responsible for my soul. Man can kill the body, but he, Yahuwah, is the only one who can kill the body and the soul. Okay, so I have to go because grandma is kind of like really getting into her nap, and I need to lay her down. Okay, and again, like, make sure that she has her fluids. All right, so thank you, and I appreciate you for those of you who are willing to watch, and stay tuned for future uploads. Thank you.